For the decade and 1/1 of seasons in the finals, they're finally adding the melee rework and a new map. For the melee rework, I hope it gets reworked and not destroyed. The last time it was reworked, the sledgehammer got turned into a mallet, the sword got put in a cervix collar, and the dual blades got turned into a demon. The scale goes from shotgun to sniper. With melee you have no range, but you have infinite ammo with lots of damage, and are almost guaranteed to hit them. With the sword, the heavy attack launches you forward, which is useful for not getting hit but can sometimes backfire. If the enemy is on an edge, you'll fly off the map. Since you can't turn, if you're not close enough when you sword dash, the enemy can just walk sideways or dash away. And if you're too close, you'll spend a second flying away from the enemy after you hit them, losing distance. You only really win fights when you play around cover or get the jump on them, leaving the alternative of only pressing the light attack, which is unbearable to play against. For a rework, I think the first light attack should attack faster, and then the rest are slower. A way to cancel the sword dash would help with messing up and overshooting the opponent, and to at least be able to turn more with a sword dash, and more freedom in general movement, like when you lose all your momentum since you dashed off the ledge. For reworks in general, I hope the H+ infuser gets turned into a shotgun or handgun style weapon like the V9S. You should be able to throw objects with mines or stuff on it further, since mines in C4 are disabled on moving objects. And that the turret for medium can be picked up. For the map, I hope for a train map with moving platforms that follow the track, or a space map with low gravity areas that flip with normal areas on the low gravity event, or just one giant tower. And just for maps in general, I hope the crane gets a buff, it's just a tower, and that there are built-in portals to the map. Every barrel has a grenade counterpart, and the new oil barrel would be a unique version, like a mine variant. If you threw it, it would bounce 2 times, creating an oil puddle each time. It would work if you meleeed it too, or if you exploded the barrel itself. And for matchmaking, I hope there's a way for teams to vote off a weapon, like M11 on most game modes, or Sniper on Power Shift. For the gadgets, Light could get a stun trap, like the stun gun in mine form. Medium could get a heal mine. It would set off if your teammate stepped on it, but the enemies can still manually shoot it to get health. The mesh helmet could protect your teammates from 50 headshot damage. And my favorite, a turret that can't turn, but attacking with decent damage once triggered. It would be most useful at long hallways or at a stairwell, but you could potentially put this thing on a turret to auto-aim it. Heavy could get a super gravity cube, the reverse of anti-gravity, destroying ceilings and pinning down enemies. A data overloader, causing barrels to be twice as effective so Heavy can have nukes again. And an EMP launcher, glitching a large area for a long time. Now for specializations. Light could have a coin depot, giving you more coins and allowing you to respawn on your statue. A self-nullification, being able to ignore damage for at most 3 seconds. The only problem is a double barrel walking up to you, and there's nothing you can do. And the thermal vision rework. For me, the previous version being high contrast works, but it made the background too dark. So I think only making the enemies their solid color, red, orange, pink, or purple, would be better. And being able to see their recent footprints would let you track enemies down. For medium specializations, a materializer, creating barrels when you don't have time to look around, or if there's none of the right ones. You could instantly put down a mine and 5 barrels when someone's chasing you, or supplying your team with a random amount of red barrels. The hovercraft flies you and your team around the arena. It would have 580 health plus destruction damage. You could ram into buildings, hunt down opponents, or turn your Heavy into an airstrike. Heavy could get a freeze ray, making structures brittle and slippery, doing 20 damage and slowing enemies down by 25%. A Tesseract forming a large room. This would be very useful on Power Shift since it's difficult to make upwards cover. And making a room around the cash out to steal it is much needed. This could be offensive too. If the enemies tried to steal the cash, you could throw fire or gas at them, and lock them in with it. And C5. Now you may ask, what's the point? It's just a second C4. But there's a difference between destroying a wall and a building. Now for LTMs. A pinball game mode like Bumper Cars would be fun, like a mix of Super Cash Ball and heavy hitters. Like soccer, but you're the ball. A map with 2 pirate ships where you have to stay on the enemy's ship to gain points would be fun. A game mode with 4 cash boxes at the center would make all 4 teams fight over it, and an $8,000 prize for getting to it first. It would be harder to bring 2 cash boxes to the cash out, and if an enemy team puts in a box when you already started one, they will get 25% of the money until they are wiped. A free-for-all with 10 people, 3 lives per match, and 3 matches in total. It would give you enough lives to find a counterplay against rats, and you would automatically respawn so you couldn't wait out the opponents. Now for weapons. Some of the classes are missing weapon types, like light without a grenade launcher. There's already a bouncy and impact, so there could be a sticky bomb, useful for setting up traps. The damage would go from 50 to 38 after 3 seconds on the ground, so you can still do reasonable damage without making a death trap. With medium not having a light sniper, they could get a bayonet rifle. 59 damage and a 73 quick melee alternative. 3-shot light, 5-shot medium, and only 4 with 3 shots in a melee. 6 shots with or without melee for heavy. Unless you only did melee, then it's 5 melees. And the 5.77 Tyrannosaur. You can 2-shot light, but you have to hit all 30 pellets. I couldn't come up with any unique weapons like the others, so there's no point in making a generic one of those. But there are still the predicted damage values.